Are you ready for this? Okay, we are ready for the next presenter. And she's Rocío
Gabriel.
I don't know why I forgot the name of Rocío Gabriel. And she's going to talk us about
The Mayan Ballgame of
Okay.
Mesoamerica.
And you are going to learn a lot about the ball game. I hope. No?
I hope.
Okay.
Okay. Before I start my presentation, the Mayan Ballgame, we're going to look at a video clip to make sure you guys understand what I'm going to talk about in my presentation. Okay, this was a clip from the Mayan Ballgame, and okay, okay. Who are the Mayans? First of all, the Mayans used to live more than 3,000 years ago, and the civilization live around this area in Mexico, and Belize, Honduras, and Guatemala, as also as El Salvador. The Mayas did not consist a unified state, but they organized various states around the Mexico region as central part of Mexico and down near South America. The Mayas were very intelligent. They developed a writing system. They also had a numerical system which they had the concept of zero. They developed a precise calendar with 365 days in a year. They adapted the idea of different levels of social status that made up nobles and kings. They were also great astronomers, scientists, craftsmen, and as we could see right here, they made great architectural buildings. The Maya religion was really important in their culture. They believed in many gods that represented the dead and the natural world. For example, here we could see Apuk that represented the god of the dead. Jamskax, it was the god of corn, and and Shak, he was the god of the rain. They believed that life was important after death, and it consisted of various levels under the world. They had human sacrifice, and it was part of their religious rituals that they did. Culture, much of the culture and history we could see through the murals and through the artifacts that the Mayan left in their regions. Pictures like this and murals like this, we could interpret of somehow what was the culture about. What was the game of the Mayas? The Mayan ball game was close to soccer in today's society. This was one of the first games that we know in our history of the Mayan culture that started at least 3,500 years ago in Mesoamerica. This sport is an exciting, dangerous, and a competitive sport. To play the ball game, the Mayas used a ball made of rubber that weighed at between 6 to 6 pounds. Now, I'm going to talk about the players before I get into detail. Here we see a man player. They usually used to wear a helmet that would protect them from the rubber ball since it was really heavy and dangerous. They also use like jokes and other equipment to protect themselves, like here in the arms and the legs. Also, they use this belt that will protect them from the ball from being hit in their genitals. The women, we don't see them so protective like the men do. We could see them that they wear that belt around their waist, but they don't use their helmets or anything around their legs or arms. Men and women were not equal in the game. We could see that men, it was more a competitive sport where if they were from the nobles, they believed that giving their lives was very important because they could honor their gods. But for the women, we could see that it was more as a playful thing, something that they could just do without being sacrificed or competitive. It was just more for playful. The courts in the Mayan Ballgame were the symbol of entering the world of the gods. The first ball courts were in the form of an eye. We could see here a form like an eye. And then they had these rings made of stones, and there were other rings that represented in like heads of birds. Many times when the culture wanted to preserve a activity or a game, they encarve their history in this type of art hieroglyphically in their courts, so the history would continue through generations and generations. Before a game was started, the priests would give a ceremony which consisted of chants, dances, and music. They also made little offerings like we see here in miniature, representing the court, the ball, and some of the players. At the end, the priest sacrificed the losing player. The rules of playing the ball game. First of all, the players were divided in two groups. The players couldn't touch the ball with their hands. They only could use their hips and their feet, but the other parts were not allowed to. In order to accumulate points, the players had to hit the ball up, and through this ring they could accumulate the points. If they didn't, well, they didn't have any points. The consequences of the ball game. Whoever was the loser in the ball game, the player was sacrificed and decapitated. Some scholars don't agree with this, but it's something that's being debated, and I guess through the years it's not going to be solved because we really don't know what was the culture and the game played for. Others say that the winner that played the ball game were rewarded with jewelry, land, and other precious stones. In conclusion, I believe that the ball game will never know the true meaning of it or its importance. The only thing I could say is that it has had a cultural impact in the Latin America as well in today's sports.
No, I think that who was the player who was killed in Argentina because he threw the ball into it was a soccer game, and he made a mistake and threw the ball into the on
Maradona.
yeah, in Colombia.
Colombia.
So we know that, it's still, you can be decapitated if you are doing this because the people kill him, because he was doing this. Yeah.
From the very first remarkable comparison to the modern game of soccer, I'm wondering, is this where soccer came from? Or is it just coincidence?
It's probably coincidence. Well, through my research, they didn't say that it came soccer. It's from this game. It's just a coincidence that it's similar to our soccer from today's society.
The origins of basketball.
I just love the Mayan culture, especially the ball game. Through the years of my life, I've been watching movies and read books about it. And I think something like that still attracts me because there's a lot of questions that I'll never really understand or will never know.
Have you ever played it?
No. Especially with that a ball that's really heavy, I wouldn't be able to play it.
The risk of the sacrifice.
Yes.
Rocío, you mentioned that one of the possibilities for the losing team or losing players that they would be decapitated. On what do you base that theory?
There's a book called the Mayan Mesoamerican Ballgame, and they say that slaves from another tribes, they were supposedly put in these games, or slaves that they captured from anywhere, they were put to play the games, and if they did lose, they were just decapitated.
But isn't there also, you mentioned this to me one time, in Chichen Itza, in the ball court, that there is a stela, an engravement that shows a player or somebody being decapitated on the side of the court.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that was him.
What do you mean?
If that was one of the sources of that.
Well, that's part of its sources, but I just that was a really hard one to explain because there's a lot of controversial issues. There's people that they don't believe it. They were sacrificed, especially on the whole religion part of it. They think religion never did exist on the part of sacrifice. And there's the other ones that they do think that because of the murals and the artifacts and the stelas, we could tell that there's like mutilation or sacrificing or the pulling of the heart.
How recently was this game played? Is it still played?
It's still played in Mexico. It's in a place called Xcaret.
It's more like a ritual, yes?
Yeah, it's more like a retail.
It's a sanification of how this happened before.
Or was it a reenactment of something? that they used to do?
Yeah.
And one of the curiosities of history and culture is that as the Mayas were developing their culture and living their culture in society in the peninsula, there were regions in the far north, in New Mexico and in Arizona, in the pueblos, that they had a game that was very, very similar, with the pelota. And in Pueblo Bonito in New Mexico and Canyon de Chelly in Arizona, they have the ball courts very, very similar. So, just a curiosity of what
Even the Aztec, they had the game, but they call it potapoc. It's a different name for it. So there were various tribes that played for it, but I specifically got the Mayan one.
I think it's interesting also that the ball they used was solid rubber, hule, and that was indigenous to the Americas. They were the first to use rubber, but it was solid, not inflated rubber. And they used to bleed the trees to make it and all that. And that's, later on it became our means of transportation.
Yeah, one of the things that, with my curiosity is that the women didn't have anything, to protect themselves, even though that they have, this very sensitive part. And they were not decapitated. I don't think that they were, taken seriously or what, they were asking, hoping that they would be killed,
There
Anyway.
was never a loser in women's games. They worked it out. They compromised. It's only the men that had to beat somebody.
Yeah, I think that because men is more, war. But you see that in Brazil they have this stick that they are playing all the time with a stick that is also a renal instantiation of what happened before. Well, thank you. Okay. And we have, how many minutes I have?
Officially 7.
Me hicieron muchas preguntas. That was not fair.
That's great.
I tried to do it with ProLine, and the lens is not. The lens won't do it close enough. You could send them to me, right?
Yeah, that's why I got it. I just never had enough, so I reduced them.
Remember that we have water at the end of the room. The water and that coffee. Anyway. I saw Rocío and
No, no llegan, me cambian. ¿Sí? Sí lo veo. ¿Ya pudiste regresar? No sé. No sé, Juan.
Supongo que éramos allá, ahorita ya dirá.
No sé, pregúntale a Silka.
Eso tiene que ser. ¿Pero qué no tiene que tres fotos?
Pero
No, dice empty.
tiene, aquí esta cosa tiene como un piquito.
Tiene unos fucking piquitos.
Tiene así como un lanchito. Ay, no sé, Juanjo.
¿Pues un lápiz? Mira. Pásame un lápiz.
No tengo.
¿Nervios?
Sí.
Lupe.
A ver.
No, ya sé.
¿Sí? No.
No. It's probably already rewind.
We're trying to rewind this and we don't know how.
Oh, I don't know either.
Let me
Ask
see.
Gus. Gus will know.
I just want to get your PowerPoint ready. I don't know which one it is.
Ya, ya,
I'm
ya,
finding
ya,
it.
What is it on my phone?
It's okay.
So I'm looking at you had a folder called Capstone?
It's
what I
it's the one's español.
Espanol 10?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. This one? Yeah?
Should be, yeah.
And have you checked it to make sure it all plays? Just do that real quick. Well, you're all right. How are you gonna stand up there and just click the buttons?
Yeah.
Is that gonna be okay? Great. Oh, neat. Oh, you got some nice images. Animated ones too?
Just one.
Great. This will be great. Great. Looks like it's going to go fine. Okay. Okay. Great. I'm going to trust it. I'm going to put you back on slide 1. And let's see. If you want to do that. So I'm going to take that one. Just take that. Let's get
You take an English 2. That's the one. I took that this summer. Is English to be required?
Let's go. Okay. Let's go. I don't know why it won't reject. Do you see the top button where it is? It's the top little white button.
This one?
Yeah, yeah. That's it. It's coming. Great. So now you got it back.
So it's already saved in there.
This is it. It's already saved. I've got a copy now, so that's what I needed. And all I'm going to do then is have this ready to go. And I'm going to put this screen up in a few minutes, and I'll switch it over for you, or Michael will switch it over for you.
Okay.
A couple of minutes.
Great.
Okay.
We
Thank
just
you very
save
much.
this.
It's yours.
Mira, ¿viste? ¿Ya pudiste? ¿Ya te regresó?
Yo estaba regresado.
¿Y cómo lo sacaste? ¿Más sacaste ya?
¿Dices la silla?
¿Eh?
¿Dices la silla?
This is my silla. Mira, this is my brother Beto. That's Josué. And that's Juan. That's my brother. Sorry, brother. And all the people is my family. It's my brother, my sister, and my family. You guys all look alike. Everybody like. We do look alike? No. He's like he's adopted. Just kidding. He's not part of the family. No.
They still put it up.
It's like more like how can I say? Characteristic is different. You think so? Yeah. It's a little ugly. My sister, I'm like totally alike. Like you look like twins. No. See, it's like more like gentle, and then you're like more like passion kind of. Like, it's like different. Yeah. Are you nervous? I was worried. I was like, oh my God, they're not coming. I just called him this morning. I was like, I'm gonna come. I'm very happy. Sí. ¿Cómo? ¿Cómo? Siéntate aquí enfrente, mira. Acá, vente para acá conmigo. Vente para acá conmigo. Vente con Esther. Vente con Esther.